Hey, Christina here. Welcome to my crystal art series. Today I will be sharing the design process behind balance within the changing world. Let's go. So here is my mood board, and a lot of my inspiration here was really grappled to Asian culture. And I think the reason for that was when I did my research behind Black Onyx, it was really talking about the Japanese concept of Ying and Yang. So I'll be sharing more about that further on in this video. So basically, my inspiration was looking at the Black Onyx stone and what kind of characteristics it carries. So I noticed that the stone itself was a lot of just one color. So black, gray, white, maybe a little bit of gold if you're looking for the natural stone. So I really wanted to stay true to what the stone was about. So this piece is going to be mainly black and white, which is normally not something that I do, but I wanted to give it a try. So the next inspiration that I was looking at was lanterns, floating lanterns in the sky. It just looks so beautiful, and normally it looks really nice at night. So I'm looking at, the differences in each sky that we see. What do we see in a night sky? What do we see in a day sky? And what do we see in the dawn or dusk sky? So I wanted to explore a little bit of the different skies, because looking at onyx, the stone, each of the colors in the stone signify a time of day. So black would represent the night sky, the gray would represent dawn or dusk sky, and the white would talk about the day skies. So I really wanted to accentuate that meaning, because it's finding balance within the time of day between work life and personal life. So it was super cool understanding the meaning behind Black Onyx. And I really wanted to take on that Asian culture, so I looked at a lot of Chinese ornaments as well as architectures, finishes that they would put on, so a lot of gold, a lot of patterns. So I was really sticking to what they are known for. And the yin and the yang I wanted to incorporate in this piece in a certain way. So you'll see in the piece coming up next how I approach the concept of yin and yang. I also liked the energy of sparks and what sparks bring. It's just very exciting, and it has a lot of movement. And I'm not sure why I was looking into the whole sparks thing. There was another reading that I looked at for the Black Onyx, and it was talking about letting go and finding that balance, right? So I thought about things that make me happy, things that make me smile. So the lanterns was something that made me smile, as well as sparks. During a celebration, you'd have sparks, and you like to run around and play with them and watch everybody light up theirs. It was really cool. So some personal touches there from my own memories. And then in terms of lines in motion, I thought that was something super cool, because it's all about bringing that positive energy, because the balance here could also be a balance of positive and negative energy, and we need to try and balance that so that we're not too much in our masculine energy, which is always working all the time, where we should sometimes be in our feminine energy. So it's that feeling of finding what works for you. And I was just looking at a lot of things that had a lot of energy to them, trying to bring a lot of strength to the piece, because positivity and strength go hand in hand very well. And I wanted to keep that with the motive here. So the other piece of inspiration that I was really looking at is a Japanese art technique called Kintsukuroi, I believe is how you say it. Hopefully I didn't pronounce it wrong, but it was all about golden repair is what they call it. And it's about taking something that's broken and then putting it together in a pretty way. So this story kind of made me feel that we need to find the positives within the negative to find balance. So I thought this was a cool concept to bring something together that, sure, we're during this pandemic, there's a lot of negativity and there's a lot of bad energy right now, but we can look at this in the flip side, where we can see the positives in this really interesting time. So we need to look at this with new eyes and heal some of the negative parts in our lives with some positives. So this is kind of how I was saying to take something that you feel is broken and put it together in a different way. And then you look at the piece with new eyes, or you look at the situation with new eyes. So you found balance. And that's what I am really trying to get at here with this piece. And I thought this piece was emotionally very captivating. And I hope that you guys see this too. And feel free to comment below too on what your thoughts were on this piece. So once I did everything in my inspiration research, I went into Procreate and I started with mapping out my piece. So I used the monoline brush tool and planned out my composition. So I was going for a night sky landscape, keeping things very simple. And then I wanted to put a cracked line going across the sky to refer to the concept of yin and yang, but also to tie it in with the Kintsukuroi effect. So I'm really trying to look into everything that I've put together in my references and piece them together in some way. So the concept of the yin and yang showcases the differences of the skies. So each sky speaks its own thing. And normally this is what Black Onyx has to offer or speaks of all the time. So I really wanted to showcase that characteristic that stone really shared. And then at the bottom of the piece, I used a wavy line at the bottom to tie it back into the line work within the Black Onyx stone. So the Black Onyx stone, depending on which one you're looking at, there are some stones that have the wavy lines in the stone, and I really wanted to bring that in because it has a nice soothing feel to it. And again, it's talking about balance. So the line itself is very subtle. So it's just going with the flow, letting it go. There's no sharp edges. So I was really trying to emphasize the contrast between the broken sky and what the horizon contrasted with. So next I stayed true to the Black Onyx's color scheme. Black for the night sky, gray sky for the dawn and dusk, and then white for day. And here I did something a little bit different. I actually did a black wash as my base and inverted the line art to white. And then I jumped into the texture brushes because I wanted to bring in the lantern concept for contrast and depth, plus showcase the push and pull effect with the broken sky effect to draw your attention and keeping yourself balanced and trying to stay in the light as much as possible. So there's a little bit of distribution of weight in the piece. So I was showcasing yin and yang in the sky, and even with that broken line going right across the sky, I'm showing that yes, we have some tension here between the dark and the light, but we need to find some sort of middle ground and control that in between. So for the lanterns, I use the water drip brush to make them look like they're floating, and I adjusted the size, transparency, rotation for more depth and movement, making things interesting. And I kind of viewed these little water droplets as dandelions, as if we're letting it go, we're letting the negative energy go, we're letting our past go, we're finding ways to bring balance to our lives. We're not letting these negative thoughts or negative energy weigh us down. We are moving forward with whatever we would like to do. So I used the lasso tool to outline the shape that the floating dandelions were in and lightened up the background for that hint of a yin and yang. I wanted to push for more of a contrast. I came in with the Aurora brush. I added in a cloudy effect at the horizon line and changed it to white for a glow that was basically saying that day was approaching. So a new day, we're starting off on the right foot, balanced energy, you're feeling balanced, you're feeling centered, and that's what we're trying to do here. So I'm really talking about, each day you can change it. You have the power to make every day the best, and you can control those days of keeping yourself balanced. So that's kind of my mindset towards this piece. I added in some pop of color. So I added in that gold because there was gold within the stones through my investigations, but I also wanted to tie in that Asian culture of the type of gold that they use. So I came in with a medium nozzle brush and I just kind of softly put it in around the sun line, just for a nice highlight glow, a little bit of emphasis and warmth, because the piece, I did not want it to make it look cold or emotionless. I wanted to bring in some energy, again, like I said, positivity, motivation. And then for that crack in the sky, I decided to fill it in with gray to really emphasize that yin and yang concept. So bringing it forth a little bit more, but not to the point where it's overwhelming the piece, just enough that it's providing some tension, but you easily understand what we're talking about. And the highlighted horizon line was done with the gloomy brush tool to thicken the line work. And that was just so that it bleeds in nicely with the rest of the textures that I'm using in that area. I felt that there wasn't enough power with the line work I was using before, so I just went in on top and I did a stronger line effect. Inspired by the lines in motion photo, I started connecting the lines to each dandelion to form a connection as if they were constellations in the sky to form a picture or a memory. So, you know how I was talking about earlier about the dandelion, that it's so light you can let it go, let it blow away, and move on? So I saw this as a small reminder that we need to let go of the things that don't serve us nor bring us joy, and to keep the ones that you have connections with. So this is kind of something that I I came across a couple years ago about talking about things that you don't really need anymore. So if there's something in your environment that's negative, that's giving you negative energy, remove it because it's not serving you. So maybe take some time in your day to go through some of your stuff, some of your belongings, and see what kind of energy, what kind of vibes these items are giving you, because that could be some of your issues that might be weighing you down. So this is something that you could do maybe in the new year or right now if you wish. But these were just small little reminders that I wanted to share with you guys, that it was something that I learned a couple years ago and I really wanted to pass this on. Oh, this is again just a hint that we need to keep moving forward and looking ahead. And I used an intricate pattern at the top right hand corner to gesture that note. So to tie it back in with intricate Asian designs, I wanted to bring your eye up to the top right hand corner, because in design, if you put things to the right, that's a positive thing. If you put it to the left, it's a negative thing. So that's just something to keep in mind. But for me, I was just hintily telling everybody, the viewers, that you need to keep looking ahead and keep staying positive and to just keep moving. Lastly, warm wash of gold. And I adjusted its transparency and brightened up the artwork a little bit. And I used the lasso tool to cut out some shapes in the sky to create some depth. And that's pretty much it for working in Procreate. So now I take the piece and I put it in Illustrator for setup. So I made an artboard that was 8.5 by 11. And I made 2 rectangle boxes that were 4 by 6 inches. And I bumped them together, found the center, and put a guide down the center. 2 rectangles together to form one shape. And from there, I put crop marks, so 2 little lines in each of the corners of the rectangle. This was going to determine where I'll be cutting for the final size. And from there, I placed my name of the card, my logo, anything of that nature, and that's how I laid out the content and ready for print. Once I printed everything out, it was time to score, and basically I took this to my drawing board, and I have a little scoring kit that helps me to make an indent in the page. And I use the tool to just hint it a little bit of it at the top on the art side up so I can see where I need to run down the page. And I flip it over and then I make the indent all the way down the page after the little sample I did on the other side for myself. So once I scored everything down, I set that aside and I brought out my X-Acto knife and cutting board, and I used those crop marks, lined everything up, cut it down to size, and I used my bone tool to run it down the edge of the fold line to make that fold smooth and pretty much make that indent a fold. So now we are pretty much ready to go and ready to put some finishes on it. So when approaching the finishes, I looked at this piece and there was already a lot of detail. So the only thing that I wanted to just add a little bit of pizzazz to was the break in the sky. So around the crack, I put in silver metallic paint, and I just did an outline because I just wanted a little bit of a hint of sparkle and fun, but overall the piece already has a lot to say, so I didn't want to overpower the piece. So that was basically my process, and I really want to thank you guys for tuning in and for hearing my process, and I hope that you guys stick around for more of my future videos. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Keep smiling, guys. Bye.